Thank you. Okay, so this is going to be really quick. Just an overview of the data center, the services that we want to be providing to the other, we say MDAs, ministries, departments, and agencies, the challenges that we have, the many, many challenges that we have, and, where we be going. Okay, so this is what the infrastructure basically looks like. We have a HP 3-par system. There's fiber connectivity. You see where we have our internet connection and how the WAN connects. We're going to get into all the limitations of this. Well, not all of them, but some of the limitations of this when I talk about the challenges. The proposed services that we identified, this was basically what we felt the data processing department could provide, and also with a consultation with, I think it was 13 MDAs that we did. So essentially what they wanted. The infrastructure as a service, this would include mostly virtual servers that we would provision for the MDAs for their purposes. We do also host some websites for government offices. The software as a service as well. This right now is mainly the Exchange infrastructure. So even for departments that we don't host their websites, we sometimes do have their email. And this is not just the barbados.gov.bb domain. There are a couple of other domains, like I believe health is one of them, and a few others that are also on our Exchange platform. The storage and archives as a service, this is mostly about providing reasonably priced storage, cloud storage for the MDAs. I don't know how many of you have been to a government department and see files are an issue. They are a big issue. There are a health issue. There are accessibility to the data issue. It's a problem. Backup as a service is another big one. This is something that the MDAs really wanted, to be the ability to back up their data and to restore it from backup. And of course, the voice as a service, which actually is already made provision for by the government WAN. So all the MDAs that are on the government WAN already have voice as a service provision through us. Okay, so on to the challenges now. So we are really not compliant. There are, I actually think that it might be a little better than this now, because when this assessment would have been done, we were just now building out the bunker, the data center in the bunker. So it might be a little better than this, but it's not close to compliance at the moment. And to get into why. Okay, so the physical infrastructure, the location that the data center is in it's not a data center. It's a space that was available to us. We are working with what we have. So for instance, it's in the parking structure of the building. It's actually in the basement of where we are now, so right below us. So the issue of that a car could crash into it. The issue of that there's that public access to it because it is a car park. The public access to the pedestrians. Pedestrians often use our basement parking structure as like a shortcut to go over to First Caribbean, et cetera, et cetera. They don't have to interact with security, that sort of thing. So the physical infrastructure is an issue. There are some other little things. I say little because they're more easily solved, like the fact that there aren't fire doors. There's a condensation issue because of the airflow with the AC, that sort of thing. But I mean, there's some good stuff. I mean, we do have generator power, and there's a raised floor, that sort of thing. So the physical infrastructure is not terrible, but it's not ideal. The network infrastructure, some of the issues that we have, most of them have to do with redundancy. So currently there's just the one firewall. There's also just one fiber connection to our data processing's office, which is on the 4th floor in the other building. There's just the one connection to the WAN, not just for us, but for all the other government departments. So if a government department has all their infrastructure with us here in the data center and their connection to the WAN goes down, we can't restore that connection until we restore connection to the WAN. So the networking infrastructure is mostly about, I would say about the redundancy. Server storage and virtualized infrastructure. We currently run a Hyper-V environment. So potential customers that have a requirement for VMware, we can't support them currently. We do have lots of room for growth. So our Blaze server and the 3-part chassis, we have room. But currently, if we were to provide we can't provide all the services that we would have identified we want to provide with the current infrastructure that we have. It would need to be built out. There's also the issue of a disaster recovery site. And finally, on this infrastructure, the server storage, etc., the products that we want to provide, the services that we want to provide, we haven't fleshed out defined a methodology for providing those services. That needs to be outlined and policies need to be written, etc. We do already provide infrastructure as a service to some government departments. So we host servers for Department of Agriculture, PAD is one of them, and we are in conversation with some others, but we are doing this on an ad hoc basis almost. So it's not like there's a set procedure to sign a piece of paper, a set MOU or whatever that we do, and that needs to be worked out. The operational infrastructure challenges again have to do with that policy. So we don't have an information security management system, and we also don't have proper business continuity management. So there's no business continuity plan. There's also not a central operations center. So there's no 24, which is actually another, I forgot to mention that is these two cross between physical infrastructure and operational challenges. 24-hour access to the infrastructure is a problem. We recently had a situation where an employee needed to physically reboot a device, and it was very late at night. And when they got here, the security were not at their station. I don't know if they were doing rounds or whatever. So that is a problem in a data center. So that's the overview of the challenges that we have. So next steps. We need to establish a working group We need to establish a working group to, plot a way forward. How are we going to get to where we need to get? We need to know define the project, what the timelines are going to be like, what the costs are going to be like. We need to select the hardware and software for the projects. Again, that's going to, have costs that we need to outline. And working in a government infrastructure, everything works around the financial year and when you can spend the money and when you get drawdown and all of those things. We also need to plan for services that we might want, that we're not currently looking at, but we would want to provide in the future. And to have a proper management structure for the data center. So maintenance, monitoring, security, patching, all of those things need to be fleshed out properly. Thank you. Anybody have any questions? Only easy ones, please.
Thanks, Ashell. Great presentation. Thanks for sharing that. I have one I would start with. You do have a long list of challenges. The one thing I didn't see there, though, was costs, like money. So it seems as if you have an unlimited budget. So what's the time frame for implementing this? Is there a time frame? And do you have a priority list as to which ones you will start with?
So we assume that everybody knows cost is a constraint. So, you don't even bother to put that in your presentation because it's a given, right? To your other question, we don't currently have a time frame. We are actually working right now on a strategic plan for the department. We're actually going to be having a staff-wide consultation on that on Friday. So coming out of that, I'm thinking the projects for this particular, because there are lots. I'm sure that the admin section has lots of things that they want to get done in data processing as well. This all comes together with our strategic plan for the department. So that's being fleshed out right now. You have one more? Right. And yes, there are priorities. Right now, we actually have some shared services that are still on our data processing infrastructure. So we are currently working very diligently on having data processing just be another node on the government WAN. Our offices are just another node, and it's separate from the shared services that we have for the WAN. So that's been a priority for us. And also the backup, and not backup as a service, but the backup of the infrastructure in the bunker, having proper backup and restore functionality for that would also be one of the priorities.
See, Jason's moved to the mic.
Hi, Jason. Caribbean. I was wondering to what extent the participation in internet governance activities such as CarbNog, RN, ICANN, and so maybe driving the development of your infrastructure. Are there looks at IPv6, DNSSEC, and adoption of best practice and so on that's being driven from those participations?
All right, so the boss is not here, so you're all going to have to tell him that I spoke very highly of him. He is very, very adamant that our staff should be participating in these internet governance issues, and not just the technical among us. So we have here now, we have persons from Dev, we have people from infrastructure team and the cybersecurity team, as well as our customer support team as well. And that's from the time I came to work here, that's always been the push that he's been making. And you're right, when you go to these conferences, you see what international best practice is. You see where the department could go. And it's very, very hard to see that when you are stuck, especially, I'm not being mean to government, but especially in this environment, right? It's sometimes very easy to get bogged down into the fires you put out on a day-to-day basis. Oh my God, somebody can't access their email and you've reset their password 12 times and they're still typing it in wrong. It's really, really hard to see the big picture, to see a future for the services that you want to provide. And I think that Rodney has really done a good job in terms of putting that over to the staff, that this is where we need to go. We need to have like that vision and not just be thinking about what you do when you get to your desk on mornings, but also how what you do when you get to your desk on mornings is supporting that vision. Don't forget now, tell him that I said.
Is it on? Yeah, right. Yeah, I share that sentiment. Stephen has said that Rodney has supported this event, and a lot of work went into it, his staff, to make this happen. So and as you said, people are here from the department. Good. Here's another question.
Good morning.
Hi.
Listened to your presentation, and I was a little concerned. The outlook that you give for your infrastructure, something you believe, and for an entity that is supposed to be the core of government's technology and so forth, I'm a little concerned. honestly. So if money is an issue, I think a lot of the other government departments will have reason to be concerned. I'm sorry Mr. Taylor's not here, honestly, because that presentation scared me a bit. I don't know about anybody else, but you talk about a lot of things that need to be done. It doesn't seem as though there's any structured approach to deal with it. I don't know if you could respond to that, honestly.
Okay, so I didn't go into it in the presentation. A lot of the information that's in the presentation has come out of a consultancy that we have with IBM to identify the challenges that we have and to map a way forward. So we are actually not just going on IBM as well. We are looking at proposals from other private organizations about how to plot that strategic way forward, as you're saying. Okay. You said that, you're a little scared and the looks kind of bleak, but you didn't go into why, so I'm not sure how I would address.
No, when you identify some of the challenges, it didn't look as though there was a strong going forward case. I'm serious. It looked as though you had reached a wall. Oh,
I guess that's my bad.
No, to me, it came across that way.
That was my limitation as a presenter. But that's not the case at all. Okay, so we have challenges, but we also have ways to address those challenges. Obviously, we can't move the data center, right? But we can have
So you can't move it?
I meant we can't take it up from where it is and literally not put it in the basement. That's the space we have available to us here. Yeah. But we are, Rodney, again, unfortunately he's not here, is adamant that can't be the long or short of it. That can't be the end of it. So we're exploring other avenues, other data centers where we can have secondary sites.
Right. I must be honest with you. I actually was privileged to visit that area about 2 weeks ago when we had the other session here with Christopher.
Yes.
Right. And I made some observation myself. And yes, I could see after actual physical visit that there were some concerns. I mentioned them to Mr. Gaskin. I also know Mr. Gaskin. But I'm also saying that what's the timeline? Because this is critical issues. It's very, very critical. Security issue. I was a little concerned with security issue because it's only here in the Caribbean, in my view, that we take these things lightly. It only takes one person with certain knowledge to infiltrate that situation.
So
because it hasn't happened yet, don't mean it can't happen tomorrow or today.
So I might agree with you if you're going to generalize and say that there are things that we don't take seriously in the Caribbean and in Barbados.
I agree.
But I assure you that it's not being taken lightly at data processing, and we do have, if not a concrete plan to address it, a plan to implement a plan to address it.
Okay.
It's not that we're saying these are the problems and we can't do anything, and this is how it is.
Right.
That's definitely not the case.
Mr. King, let me just remind you, this is a lightning presentation, so it wasn't supposed to be the full strategy of what they're trying to implement.
I know.
And I really want to take this opportunity to thank Ashell, because it's not easy for people to come up here and present what
I did say, I'm sorry, Mr. Taylor wasn't here.
Again, what I would also like to say is that that's why we have Lime Time this evening.
So
this is an opportunity to continue the discussion.
Okay.
I don't think he'll be here at lunch because he has another meeting, but he will certainly be here later on.
Well, Ashell, it was not my intention to put lightning on you.
That's okay.
Thank you so much, though.
That was not my intention. I will talk to Mr. Taylor. Thank you.
One last question, because we have our remote participant already waiting.
Well, I think this is more of a comment rather than a question. And I'd like to commend Ashell and DPD for being very honest in their presentation. Because, like the gentleman from NPC said, it is very scary. But I guarantee you, that is not just data processing department. That's every single government department. So the point is they're being honest about it. And the only way you can fix a problem is when you come up here and you say, I have a problem. So I think every other government department who's represented here and private should do what they're doing. Be honest about what your problems are in your network to fix it. That's it.
Thank you, Alicia.
Thank you very much for that. Great. Thanks, Ashell, for doing this lightning presentation. And I hope this does inspire some of you to come up later on, because we are going to be having some more lightning presentations after lunch, where you will be willing to share not just your challenges, but even some of the successes that you have been able to do, some of your projects, so that people are aware of what's going on in the communities.